Hey, welcome back, everybody. My name is Dennis Brown, and I want to thank you for joining me. It's Monday at noon, so we're going to be doing another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. As you may know, I do these lives every Monday at noon. They're absolutely free for anybody to join. You can check them out on YouTube or Facebook. So today, we're going to talk about 5 tips to help you get more shippers using cold email. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. For those of you that are catching this on replay, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Hit me up in the chat box or somewhere below, reply in the comments with #reply. I'd love to hear from you. Maybe I'll be able to give you a shout out later. For those of you that are joining me live, I know there's a bunch of people that are already just kind of funneling into the feed here. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Truly appreciate you being here. Again, today we're going to go over 5 cold email tips to help you get more shippers. And then at the end, for those of you that stick around, to the end, we are going to do a live Q&A. You can ask me any questions. I will do my absolute best to try to answer those questions. And so that's the agenda for today. I hope you guys are ready to participate. And if you are, do me a huge favor and type in the chat box the city and state where you're logging in from. Where are you watching from? I'm in Western New York. Those of you that know me, I've been a lifelong resident here in Western New York, been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. Western New York, just so you know, is in the Buffalo, New York area. Been an entrepreneur for over 25 years, been very blessed, built 3 multi-million-dollar companies, started a freight brokerage in 2003, grew that company to over 80 million a year in sales and sold it in 2016. I am also the owner and the person who developed Freight Broker Bootcamp over a decade ago, which is an online freight broker and freight agent training platform that we've trained over 8,000 students. Isn't that amazing? Over 8,000 students. We got tons of success stories. So if you're curious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent, you can check that out. We are very well known to be the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker training program available online. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's see who's in the audience here. Let's see who's joining us. Again, hit me up in the chat box. We've got Murray from Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome. We've got Paul Spates from Frisco, Texas. We got Cynthia Moore from District Heights, Maryland. We've got Dove Sauer from New York. We got Atari from Martin, Tennessee. Jason from Atlanta, Georgia. And Jason's a student already of Freight Broker Bootcamp. Eduardo from Las Vegas, Nevada. We've got Amrit from Brampton, Ontario. So we've already got 2 countries. We got the US and Canada. Let's see how many others we get in here. Frank from Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Cindy Kane, as always, from Houston, Texas. Thank you, Cindy. We've got another user from Atlanta, student Jen Hicks from Orlando, Florida. Excelsior LTL is excited about cold email. We've got Ulu Burhi from Atlanta. And again, if I murder your name or your city, state, I apologize. These are scrolling really quick and sometimes the font is really small. So Shelly Irwin from Weatherford, Texas. Cynthia Moore from District Heights, Maryland. Andre from Toronto, Canada. There's another Canadian in the house. Welcome. Dana Whitley from Houston. We've got Jimmy Rojas from Houston. We've got Jeranger Lewis from Atlanta. We got a lot of people from Georgia in the house, right? We got Texas and Georgia seems to be dominating today. Vova from Chicago, Illinois. Welcome. Buddha Laziz from Houston. Jeez, we got so many people. So I'm excited that you're here. And thank you so much for participating, being involved. If you've been in any of these Freight Broker Bootcamp lives, I've done tons of these lives. I do them every Monday at noon. You're always welcome to join, and they're 100% free. As you noticed, there was not a paywall. I didn't ask you for your credit card before you were able to log on. This is an open stream on my Facebook and YouTube page. And so the price of admission for you today is to now, right this second, like the stream. So if you're on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're on Facebook, hit that like button. And then the second thing I ask you to do is share the stream. It costs you absolutely nothing and it helps other people. That's how a lot of people discover me and my training and my platform. And so that's the price of admission. Like the stream and then share the stream. I know who shares the stream. I always get notified. I always see the names and I always truly appreciate it for any of those that do share the stream and pay the price of admission which is absolutely free for these types of trainings. Okay. So today we are going to talk about 5 cold email tips to help you get more shippers. Now, before we do that, okay, I just want you to understand, and just a quick reminder, I am about to release my new Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. Now, this is different and separate from my Freight Broker Bootcamp. So if you're a Freight Broker Bootcamp student, continue to study that. This is a supplement to that. This is a more advanced training after that. This is specifically geared towards sales. I'm about to release that program. It's going to release very, very soon. If you want to be considered for that program, I'm building a waiting list. I've got over a couple hundred people on that waiting list right now. I'm only going to allow 50 people in when we first get started, but when I release it, I'm going to send it out to everybody and give everybody a fair shot to get into the program. That program, again, is designed specifically to take this piece of my brain as it relates to my sales experience in selling freight brokerage and freight agency type services, and to translate it over to you and to offer that to you as a service to allow you to enhance the opportunity to get more clients faster, okay? And to increase the likelihood of the success of your business and in growing profits for your own freight brokerage, okay? So that program is going to be releasing very soon. If you want to be considered for that program, you have to get on the wait list. So there's a link right here, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FB sales. You can see it right here, okay? You'll see it right here, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FB sales. If you go to that link, you can get on the wait list. If you don't get on the wait list, you have no chance to get involved in this program. The program, first of all, it's not free. There is going to be a cost. I haven't finalized the cost. It's somewhere going to be between $500 and $1,000 overall for that program. Also, it's going to be a live course. I'm going to be delivering it live to you. Okay. So it's going to be like a 5-week modulated live course where I'm going to be delivering that course live. It's not something that I've pre-recorded. I'm actually going to take everything. I'm putting everything I know about sales down into presentations about all these different areas, including, here's the outline of what the program looks like right now, including, sales mindset and building your authority as a logistics expert and winning cold call strategies and doubling your results with warm calling and sales conversation starters, cold email strategies for shippers, where we'll dive into a lot deeper. We're going to talk about that today on a kind of a surface level in an overview, but we'll really dive into that in the training. The power of social proof, asking effective sales questions, handling shipper objections, closing the deal, getting shipper referrals, and then leveraging sales technology. So that's the basic outline that I'm working from right now. And I think it's going to be an amazing program. I've been asked for well over 100 times to develop this program, and I finally decided to do it. So here we are. If you want to get on the wait list, this is going to be launching very soon. I'm expecting the launch to happen this week. Okay, this week. You'll get a message from me letting you know that the program is available. You then need to go over to that link and get enrolled if you're going to get enrolled. It'll have all the full and complete details there for you. I'll lay everything out, make it real easy for you to understand, and then you'll get enrolled. So if you want to be considered, get on that wait list, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FB sales. Okay. So onward and upward. Today, we are going to talk about, let me close this out here. Today, we are going to talk about 5 cold email tips to help you get more shippers. Now, you have to understand, first of all, what is cold emailing? Cold emailing is just an outreach strategy that is designed to help you start a sales dialogue with your prospect. Okay, so let me reiterate that. Let me say that again. Cold email is using email to do an initial outreach to your prospect that is designed to start a sales dialogue that you can then convert from email into a phone call. Because we all know that shippers are not going to buy our service without having actually met us or talked to us on the phone or really understanding a lot more about us. But email can be a great first step for starting that dialogue, right? We all know how challenging it can be to get people on the phone. But in most cases, if you have the proper email, they will read your email within a few days to maybe a week, depending upon how busy they are. So it's a great way to start a sales dialogue. And that's the way you need to use it. It's not going to be a closing tool. It's going to be a conversation starter. It's going to be a way to get a dialogue started with your prospect. So I'm going to give you 5 tips, okay? 5 tips on how to enhance your cold emailing strategy. Now, in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, I'm going to go into exactly how to do cold emailing, but I can't do it in a training like this today because it's just way too long, right? This training, we wouldn't be able to do it justice, okay? There's too much information to go over. So I'm going to give you 5 tips today on how to enhance your cold emailing strategy. Tip number 1 is one of the most important by far, and that is you have to learn how to write catchy subject lines. So the subject line is everything when it comes to cold email. If you don't write a catchy subject line and you don't catch their attention, right? And you don't build some curiosity in the subject line, they're never going to open your email, and thus it'll just go in the garbage. It'll go in the trash. It'll go in the deleted folder or the junk folder. And from there, you never have an opportunity to start a conversation. So writing a catchy headline or a subject line is very, very important, okay? Here's 3 kind of little instructions within that headline. Number 1, keep it short. Don't make it long. The most effective subject lines are typically under about 60 characters, okay? So keep it short. Number 2, it can help to personalize it with their name. Use their name in the subject line. That can be extremely helpful, right? Because it's speaking directly to them. It makes it more relevant. It makes it more contextual. And then the third part of that is use curiosity. I like to ask questions. If you're on my email list, which many of you probably are, you see the subject lines that I use to describe these types of Freight Broker Bootcamp lives, as well as other emails I send. And a lot of times I like to ask a question because I like to use curiosity as a tool to get them to actually open the email. All right. So those are a few tips on how to write a catchy email subject line. All right. Now, number two tip is keep the email message short. Ideally, you want to keep it under 100 words. All right. So if you keep it short, what's going to happen is they are more likely to read it. If they open an email and they see this big wall of text and they see 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 paragraphs and it's really long, all of a sudden their mind says, I don't have time for this. I got to do something else. And there's a very good chance that they'll never come back and read it. So you've got to, number 1, get their attention with the subject line. Number 2, you've got to very quickly grab them and deliver your message. So you have to keep that message short. Don't get long-winded in this email. I promise you, we all have ADD. We don't want to read long emails. We want to skim them quickly, and we want to see exactly what it's about as quickly as we can, okay? So that's number 2, keep the message short. Number 3 tip is personalize your message. Inside the email message itself, personalize the message. Reference their name, of course. Use their first name. That's an obvious one, right? Another thing you can do is reference their social media profiles. For example, LinkedIn. Let them know that you've looked at their LinkedIn profile. Let them know some information that you've gathered from that LinkedIn profile. Use some sort of personalized data that you can pull from them, whether that be some sort of sales intelligence or whatever that may be, to make your message more compelling. All right. And then the last one there is talk about their interest or some recent activity. Again, your job is to try to make your message relevant and to stand out and to be contextual. So if you talk about things that are important to them, or you reference things that are important to them as a hook, as a way to hook them, they're more likely to actually read your message, which is more likely to obviously start a dialogue of some sort. Okay, so that was number 3, which is personalize your message. Number 4 is use short paragraphs and sentences. I said it a minute ago. If you open an email and there's this big wall of text with a paragraph that has 6 sentences, and then another paragraph that has 6 sentences, and another paragraph that has 6 sentences, you're going to look at that and you're going to get blinded. You're going to say, I don't have time for this. So you have to format your emails in such a way that they're easy to read. You'll notice that my emails, in many cases, each sentence is its own paragraph. So I will write a sentence and then I'll do a space and I'll have another sentence and I'll have another sentence. The reason why I do that is psychologically, you are more likely to read that email than if I were to put 3 sentences in one paragraph. Now, I know it may not be your English teacher from 6th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade might not believe it's proper English, but I don't care because it's not about proper English. As long as I'm writing it and and it's grammatically correct, I'm not worried about the paragraph structure. What your goal is to get them to read from the top to the bottom. And if you have a big wall of text as a message in the email, the likelihood of them reading that is slim to none and slims out to lunch. Okay. So use short sentences and paragraphs. It will be much more effective to get them to read your message. That's number 4. And number 5, the last tip is don't forget to follow up. Yes, you heard me say it. This is where salespeople really suck in most cases. They fail to follow up. And if they do follow up, they don't follow up properly. Cold emailing is not a one-time event. Now, the first time you send it, it's the first cold email. But you are going to need to send subsequent follow-up emails to people that don't respond because a lot of them are not going to respond. Statistically speaking, I read a study recently that email follow-ups, 4 to 7 email follow-ups, has a 3 times higher reply rate than cold emails with 1 to 2 follow-ups. Okay. So statistically speaking, if you follow up between 4 and 7 times via email, you're going to 3x your chances of a reply than if you were to just send 1 or 2 cold emails. Okay. So those are the 5 tips, but I'm going to give you a bonus tip. Bonus tip is number 6 is write like you speak. Don't become a machine just because you're generating an email. Write as if you're having a conversation with that person on the phone or via Facebook Messenger or some messenger platform. Write like you speak. First person. Make sure that you become human to that person. They don't want some corporate style email that sounds really salesy and pitchy. As you know, they don't want to read it, and they definitely don't want to reply or respond to it. Okay. So bonus tip number 6 is write like you speak, write like a human. Don't become a machine just because you're now using email. So those are 6. I over-delivered. I said I was going to give 5, but I gave 6 cold email tips to help you get more shippers. Okay. So again, if you guys want to be a part of my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, which is that new program about to release that takes this piece of my brain and the 25 years of B2B sales experience that I have, and particularly all of the freight broker sales experience I have, and share it with you in an online course, a total, which is that basically taking everything I know about sales and putting it into this program. Make sure you sign up on the wait list. Okay. So there is a wait list. Right? There is a wait list, and you can get into that wait list by simply going to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FB sales. Again, this is not a free program. There will be a cost. You'll get all the details when it does release, and I'm fully expecting this program to release this week. Okay. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker and you're brand new and you're just looking to get started, definitely check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That is my online training platform that has trained over 8,000 freight brokers and agents and helped them to go from no knowledge to startup to start generating revenue and profit for themselves. Okay. So we're going to jump into live Q&A. I'm going to grab a quick drink. You guys get your questions ready, and then we're going to get fired up and get ready to go. Okay. So if you enjoyed the stream, if you enjoyed this training and you think cold email is something that you might be interested in, make sure you like the stream, make sure you share, because again, I take the feedback that I get from these lives and all of the engagement, whether you're asking questions, whether you're liking and commenting and sharing, and I use that as a gauge as to whether I'm going to do future trainings like this. These are all free. Trust me when I tell you, I have lots of other things I could be doing, But so far, the investment here in working with you and offering you these free weekly Freight Broker Bootcamp lives has been extremely valuable for everybody, mutually beneficial. So if you want to see more Freight Broker Bootcamp lives for free, absolutely no cost, make sure you like, comment, and share the stream. That's how I'm going to gauge whether I do future training. So I'm going to grab a quick drink. You guys get enrolled in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator waitlist. Again, and that notification is going to go out this week. And it's going to let you know all the details of the program and how to get enrolled. Okay. So let me grab a quick drink and then we'll jump into Q&A. Right there it is. FreightBrokerBootcamp.com/FB sales. That's how you get on the wait list. Make sure you get on the wait list. I needed a little caffeine boost this morning. I know it's not good for me, but I needed it. And we are going to be diving into live Q&A. So hold tight. Make sure you have your questions ready to go. And we'll get rocking and rolling here, okay? So that is let's jump in. Let's see what we got for questions here, guys. All right, I'm going to have to scroll down here, see where the questions start. All right. I'm scrolling down to look for questions. Okay, I'm looking. So enter your questions in the chat box, and then I'm going to address them one by one. I hope I'll get to as many as I can today. I can't promise I'll get to all of them. All right, so I'm going to try to answer this question from Jason. If you're a broker agent and you're dealing with outside dispatchers, at what point do you get dispatch involved in the process? Okay, so independent dispatchers represent carriers, typically owner-operators in small fleets. And so the way that brokers can work with independent dispatchers is simply as a resource to source drivers and equipment, okay? So if you have relationships with different independent dispatchers, say one that represents 20 different owner-operators or 100 different trucks with the different fleets that he manages, you now can work with that person to source equipment to cover your freight. You will be working with that dispatcher to exchange paperwork, initial broker carrier paperwork, because you're going to have to set up a new broker carrier paperwork with every one of the carriers that independent dispatcher works with. You're not going to be able to do it once because they are not the carrier. Okay. And then from there, you're going to exchange rate confirmations just like you would with a normal carrier. You're going to be working with them to make sure that the pickup is done on time, the delivery is done on time, and there's no issues. You're going to be communicating with them along the way, including the driver, to ensure that everything picks up and delivers on time in good condition with no problem. So I hope that answers your question. I'm not quite sure exactly where you were going there, but I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview. Hopefully that helped. Dove, hi Dennis, I'm a student. What's the background of the shipper carrier database that you provide? In the program, is there date opportunity in these leads? Okay, so if you are a member of Freight Broker Bootcamp, whether you're a gold or a platinum member, lifetime member, we have a shipper and a carrier database that you can access from within the training. Now, the shipper database is updated. Both of those databases are typically updated about every 12 to 18 months. Okay. So, it costs money to update those databases, but we realize that companies do go out of business. Manufacturers go out of business, shippers go out of business, carriers go out of business. And so that database is updated every 12 to 18 months. I'm not sure the next scheduled update. If I had to guess, I think it's in the next few months, but I'm not positive. My team handles most of that. So yeah, it is updated regularly, not updated daily or weekly, but it's updated every 12 to 18 months is what the typical update is. So hope that helps. Andre, that's a great question. We did get your support tick. They forwarded it to me. I'm not sure. I would have to go through the process again. I did send an email out to somebody about Canadian brokers registering. I haven't gotten any feedback yet. Again, I can't give you legal advice, and I don't know exactly what the FMCSA has changed or is requiring for Canadian brokers. I know the process is a little bit different, but not significantly different. So when I get that answer, I will try to get back to you. Hopefully somebody responds to me. But worst case scenario, my suggestion is reach out to the FMCSA, either put in some sort of a support ticket or make a phone call and try to find out more details about it. I'll do my best to try to help. Thank you for the kind words, Chris. Thank you so much. I hope that you get involved in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. You would absolutely love it. Here's a good question. Tao Landy asks, how often should we send follow-up cold emails? Well, there's not a right or wrong answer here. That's somewhat subjective. But here's what we know for sure. Most people don't follow up enough, frequent enough, or enough times. And so my suggestion would be, typically, if you're going to follow up 4 or 5 times, which is what I would recommend, at least 4 or 5 times, if they don't respond to your initial email, you're probably going to want to compress those down. You're going to get a higher response rate from a compressed outreach strategy than you will. Let's say, for example, if you said, we're going to do 4 follow-ups over the course of a month, statistically speaking, that's going to get less replies than if you do 4 follow-ups over a 7 to 10 day period of time. Okay. So compress the follow-up series as opposed to extending it out further. Now, I know that may seem a little bit uncomfortable for some people because you're like, well, I just sent an email. Well, if you send an email every 2 or 3 days, that's probably not going to upset anybody. And ultimately, here, we're in business. You know what I mean? The fact is, you're assuming that they even saw the other emails and that they read the other emails. So following up is a process where you want to compress that timeline. So rather than doing 4 follow-ups or 5 follow-ups over a 4 to 6 week period of time, you should probably do that 4 to 6 follow-ups over a 7 to 14 day period of time. That's what I would recommend because I think you're going to get a much higher reply rate. Okay, so I hope that helps. And just know that when we go into the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, we're going to lay a bunch of that out for you, including email templates, including examples of subject lines and things like that. So we're going to go into a lot of details about that in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. So make sure that you guys are signed up for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator waitlist. There it is right there, guys. freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FB sales. All the stuff that I can't go over in these trainings is going to be disclosed and talked about in those, in that course, in that live trainings that I'm going to be doing. That's going to be launching very, very soon. So make sure you get on the freightbrokerbootcamp.com FB sales, which is the wait list. And again, I'm only going to be releasing this to 50 people. In this initial release, it's only 50 people are going to be involved, right? Now I'm going to have subsequent releases later and you'll be able to get involved later, but the price is going to probably double or maybe triple for those later members. But the initial members, the founding members, the people that are a part of the initial release, I'm going to give a big discount. They're going to get a big discount compared to what people are going to pay later. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. Back to the questions. All right, so I'm scrolling through, looking for questions here. Let me just find a couple. All right, so here's a question from Jordy. Hey, Dennis, I'm currently working with a factoring company and some of them tell me non-recourse and recourse factoring is just a gimmick and stop focusing on that. What do you recommend? Well, it's not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick because the fact is, let me just explain to people that don't understand this, what is recourse versus non-recourse. When you're factoring as a freight broker, when you factor an invoice to a shipper or, to a factoring company for one of your shippers, what happens is if it's non-recourse, it means that, excuse me, I fumbled my pen. It means that if they're not able to collect on that invoice, that they can't come back to you and try to charge back the money that they advanced you. That's non-recourse. Now, if it's recourse, that means they can later come back and charge that back to you and claw back that money. So it was more like a loan than a purchase, okay? Factoring is typically where they purchase the receivable, right? And then they now accept the risk and liability of that receivable. So recourse versus non-recourse. Now understand one thing. If they're going to take more risk, then they're also going to charge more. So the percentage is typically going to go up on recourse factoring, right? Or non-recourse factoring versus recourse. Because if they have ultimately can come back and claw that money back from you later that they advanced you, then their risk is less. So they can charge less. Okay. So just understand. I'm not saying to use recourse or non-recourse. I'm just simply saying that you need to be able to understand both and there's a cost to both. Okay. So overall, long-term, in over a couple year period of time until you're able to establish your own credit line and be in such a case where you have the right cash flow and credit and all that sort of stuff, that, that there's a cost difference between non-recourse and recourse. And sometimes it can be substantial. Okay. So when you think about it, 2% on $1 million is 20 grand. Okay. 2% on $2 million is 40 grand. So if recourse, and these are just easy numbers, if non-recourse is charging you 5% and recourse is charging you 3%, there's a 2% delta there. And over the course of millions of dollars, it adds up. Okay. So take that into consideration, but I don't think it's a gimmick. I just think that, they're just trying to sell their position. So I hope that helps. Jen Hicks asks, I'm interested in being an agent. Is the training the same for brokers? And then there are two separate trainings. No, there's one training. And here's why. There's one training that everybody goes through. It teaches you how to become a freight broker. It teaches you how to become a freight agent. And it teaches everything in between because there's a huge amount of crossover between being an agent and a broker, right? But what I've found is that most freight agents are considering later on wanting to become a broker. So I teach the entire process on how to become an actual freight broker, even if you're only interested in being a freight agent. So the entire program is designed to help two parties. If you want to become a freight broker, there's everything you need there. And if you want to become a freight agent, everything you need there. And there's a lot of overlap and crossover between the two. So to me, it only made sense because the freight agent is likely may want to learn how to start their own freight brokerage down the road once they have a customer base to put it all into one training. So that's what we did, Jen. And again, we've trained over 8,000 students and we have like a 97% customer satisfaction rate. It's something crazy like that. So plus we offer a 60-day, 100% money back guarantee. So if you have any issues, just reach out to us. We'll refund the money. All right. So Ilya asks, what's the best way to pick a niche? All right. So I'm going to briefly go over this, but I would suggest you go to my blog, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. And in the search bar, you can search all the blog articles, search niche, N-I-C-H-E, and it'll pull up an entire blog post and a full-blown video where I talk about how to do this. Okay. That will be the best resource for you. It's going to give you all the details. But there are a few ways to pick your niche. You can pick your niche by equipment type, right? So maybe you want to focus in on flatbeds. You can pick your niche by industry, okay? Which is maybe you want to focus in on the steel industry or bottled beverages or heavy equipment or whatever. The third way is you can focus in on geography. For example, you have specific lanes that you want to work on. And the four, lanes, like you want to do Northeast outbound, it's got to go south or west, or you want to do outbound Texas, or you want to do California outbound, or whatever the niche is from a geographical standpoint or a lane standpoint. And then the other one is you can do some sort of a hybrid of those four, right? So you can do some sort of a hybrid combination. So that's the basic overview, but I would highly recommend that you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. In the search bar, you type in niche, and it's going to give you a full-blown article and video describing everything in detail. Okay, so I hope that helps. So here's a good question from Walter. Who are we really directly trying to reach? Logistics managers? Yes. So the titles that you are typically trying to reach are shipping managers, logistics managers, transportation managers, warehouse managers. Those are the primary titles. And there's a bunch of other, titles in there, but you're typically looking to try to reach someone in shipping, receiving, warehouse. Those are the typical people. You're not trying to talk to the CEO. You're not trying to talk to the vice president. You're trying to talk to, typically it's a low to mid-level manager that can make that decision, right? So you're looking for shipping managers, logistics managers, transportation managers, warehouse managers. Those are the types of people that you're typically trying to reach out to. Most of your companies are going to be, most of your prospects are going to be working for either manufacturers or distributors or wholesalers or retailers, because they're going to need to have products shipped inbound or outbound or everything in between. So good question. Do you need insurance to be a broker? You don't need insurance to get your freight broker authority. You need a freight broker surety bond, which is kind of like an insurance product, but it's a surety bond for $75,000 that typically costs somewhere between maybe $1,500 and $3,500 a year, depending upon your credit. Okay, that's rough estimate. So you need a surety bond for $75,000. You need to file an application with the FMCSA. You need to have a processing agent. And you also need to have file your unified carrier registration. We go through all that in the Freight Broker Bootcamp course, as well as a whole lot more. That's a very small percentage of the course, but we do go over all of that. So you do not absolutely need this. You do not need cargo insurance. You do not need BIPD. You do not need those types of insurance in order to get your freight broker authority. Okay. So you do not need any addition. You don't need cargo. You don't need any of that stuff. Okay. So you're not a carrier, so you don't need cargo insurance. All the cargo insurance is covered by the carrier that you contract to haul the load. So I hope that helps, Val. So Excelsior asks, what if you don't have a direct contact at the shipper to email? Will a general mailbox work just the same? No, it will not work just the same. Because if you send it to a general mailbox, the message would probably be a little bit different. And what your goal would be there, if you can't find a direct mailbox and you're sending it to info or sales or shipping or some general mailbox, okay, that you find, then you're going to ask that person that's reading that mail to forward it to the proper person. So the message would be a little bit different, but you will not get the same response rate. Definitely not. If you take the time, energy, and resources to find that person's email, whether that be different email, tools software that you can use to scrape emails or access email databases or LinkedIn or different social platforms, there's all kinds of tools out there that you can use to extract and find emails, corporate emails. And so if you take the time and energy to find those emails, you are going to get a 10x response rate, if not higher, than just sending it to a generic email box. Okay. So I hope that helps. Good question though. Thank you. Yes, Walter, there is, as a part of Freight Broker Bootcamp, we include the contracts, forms, everything you need there. Broker carrier contract, broker shipper contract, broker agent contract, all of that stuff. Okay. So that's all a part of the Freight Broker Bootcamp online training program, whether you're a gold member or a platinum member. So you get access to all of that. So you can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. So Jerringer Lewis asks, what are a few challenges that shippers face? Well, the ones that are most common and most understood that shippers face is late pickups, late deliveries, claims, volatile freight rates, meaning prices going up, right? Being and trucking capacity, having the capacity to find a truck in a reasonable amount of time at a reasonable price. So those are probably the ones that you hear about most often when it comes to transportation, when it comes to logistics. Now, there are a whole series of other problems that they have in their supply chain, right? Meaning they may have vendors that are shipping to them where product is delayed, which slows down production on their product because it's a part of the product. They may have international shipments which are delayed. There may be, manufacturing equipment that break down and cause the supply chain to fall back. There could be changes in any part of their supply chain that can cause all kinds of issues. So I just gave you the most common to like a traffic manager, transportation manager, shipping manager, which is late pickup, late delivery, claims, increased freight rates, and the inability to find capacity when they need it for specific types of equipment in specific lanes. So those are a few that will definitely help you. Jordan asks for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. So I'm going to put it up on the board one more time. If you guys want to be a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator waitlist, which is the new program I'm about to release that's going to take that piece of my brain and transmit it to you, right? Over the last 25 years experience selling B2B, growing my freight brokerage over $80 million a year in sales. If you want that training, you have to get on the waiting list. I'm only going to offer it to 50 people when we first start, but you got to get on the wait list to be considered. All right. We've already got a couple hundred people on there, but when I do release it, I'm going to send a message out to everybody on the wait list, and it's first come, first serve. Okay. And if you don't get in this first, cohort, if you don't get in this first group, you'll be able to get in later. But again, the price will be higher. Okay. So that's the wait list, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FB sales. All right. So what do we got? A couple more questions. Thank you, Andre. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you guys are a student and you enjoy the training, if you go on my Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page, please write me a review. You can submit a review really quick. That would be amazing, and I would truly appreciate it. Al asks, is there a single source place to get shippers info? No. I mean, there are places that you can buy access to databases like Info USA or Hoover's from Dun & Bradstreet, and they're typically really expensive databases. But in many cases, you can purchase manufacturer's database, a manufacturing database, and then you can sort. Sometimes those will come with direct contacts. Usually they don't. But sometimes you can get it from LinkedIn. You can get it from different databases, or what ends up happening is you get the company names. And then what happens is you will use another service like some sort of a software like Email Hunter or things like that. There's different programs where you can actually put the company name in and it will give you a list of all the email addresses of people that they have there. So that's all part of what we're going to go over in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. When we talk about cold emailing, we're going to talk about that process. Okay. So there is additional software where you can source the actual names and emails of people in different roles within the company. Okay. So that's a good question. Yes, there is a Facebook. It's a private Facebook group for paid members only. So if you are a paid member of Freight Broker Bootcamp, you will get a link. You'll get an email within the first few days after joining on how to get access to that private members only Facebook group. So in that private members Facebook group, that's where members help members. So it's not a support channel, although I do go in there and respond and engage with people. It's not a primary support channel. It's where users support users and collaborate and help each other. So we'll have students that'll ask a question and other members will help answer that question, whether that be by pointing out parts in the training, whether that be through personal experience. Some of these members have had active brokerages for many years and are doing millions of dollars in sales. And so they will also reply. And so it's a great resource for collaborating with other brokers that are in the same boat as you. And it's a great support group for members. I launched that last year and it was a great addition to the program. So, hi, Dennis, purchasing contingent cargo insurance. Just so you know, contingent cargo insurance is not required, but this person is purchasing it. How important is it to state what type of cargo exactly you're going to be dealing with as a broker? Is it enough to have only dry vans freight on policy, even though I may be working with reefer freight too? That's a question you're going to want to ask your provider. Whoever's providing your contingent cargo, you're going to want to ask them. My gut tells me that you're probably going to want to list the different types of freight that you do move. And the reason being is because it may change the rates, because of course, produce has a higher claims rate than paper, right? Than shipping paper. Refrigerated has a higher claims rate than dry vans, right? So there are things you want to make sure that that your contingent cargo doesn't exclude you from getting coverage in the event that you did not list the type of coverage. So you want to make sure you reach out to your contingent cargo provider, ask them exactly what they need, and if it would be excluded, what would be excluded if you only listed dry vans, and they're going to be able to be the best person to answer that question for you. A scat code is not required to be a broker, but some shippers will require that you have a scat code. Okay. Not all of them, but some will. And it's very inexpensive to get a scat code. You're going to need your freight broker authority before you can even get a scat code. So yes, we had a scat code. You will use it with some shippers. It's not required with every shipper. It's not required as to be a broker, but it might be a tool that you may have to use in order to get access to certain shippers. So it's not a bad idea, but it's not a requirement. Yes, absolutely. Would it be possible to directly communicate with companies outside the US for possible freight? Absolutely. If you have a company that's based in France that is importing or exporting product, if they're exporting product to the US or they're importing product from the US, and you chose to handle any part of that import export, whether that be the trucking from the origin to the port or from the port to the destination, you could absolutely do that for sure. So, or you could potentially, if you have experience in that, you may handle the transportation internationally. So you may handle the transportation wherever it is within their country, right? Because trucking exists in every country, in China, in France, in Germany, in the United Kingdom, everywhere there's trucking, because trucks deliver, everything goes on a truck at some point during the delivery process in the supply chain. So freight brokerage is a service that's utilized all over the world in conjunction with different markets. We focus specifically on the US because that's my background, right? So we focus on domestic, over-the-road trucking related brokerage services like LTL, partials, full truckload in all different types of equipments, vans, flatbeds, reefers, specialized, and so on and so forth. So yeah, you could reach out to companies internationally. And if you are internationally located, you could reach out to shippers in the United States to help manage their shipping. Absolutely. So it does work both ways. All right, guys, so I'm going to wrap it up for today. If you want to be a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, you need to get on the wait list. There it is. This is your last chance. I can't promise that you're going to see the opportunity to get on the wait list again. It's going to release. I'm hoping to release it later this week and open access to the first 50 people. So if you're curious about that, make sure you get on the wait list. I'm going to send you all the full and complete details. Again, it is not a free program. Again, it is totally separate from my Freight Broker Bootcamp online training program. So if you're brand new to the industry, get in Freight Broker Bootcamp, learn that program, go through that program, and then later on you can get involved in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. If you've already went through the program or you're in the program and you want to get in Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, great. If you're already an existing freight broker, freight agent, and you want to enhance your skills and the opportunities to get new clients, that's a big part of what the Freight Broker Bootcamp or Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program is designed for. I know I'm talking really fast. I blame it on the caffeine. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Make sure you like, comment, and share on the stream. Truly appreciate you being here. Have an awesome day, and we'll talk soon.